You got it fixed?
I think so.
Either way, see what happens. Okay, we're good? We'll start the public session with Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Start off by apologizing for technical difficulties.
Yes, sorry.
That's what happens when you put me in charge this week. But we'll start, we reviewed the CPSC, CSD reports in executive session, so we'll go through and take a motion to accept those as reviewed. Thanks, Ray.
Second.
Move for Greg, take your pick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right.
Okay.
Are we gonna have Madison do the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I skipped ahead. I was going in the wrong order.
No
All right.
worries.
Sorry, Madison.
No problem. Hello, everyone. I'm Madison Noon. I'm with Healthy Kids. So, everybody should have a printout of just some information about Healthy Kids, because I know we are a new partnership with this district. So we have 15 locations spanning from into New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and obviously New York. So we are super excited and thankful for the new partnerships, including Candor. So thank you so much. I think it's going to be a really good year. All of our programs are New York State licensed and regulated, and all of our staff have to undergo background training, required OCFS trainings, along with our own Healthy Kids training. So they should be all set. For our current staff that we've hired, we have Sue Watkins as our director, Tiffany Rosenberg as our site supervisor, and then Kabrina Jane as our assistant. So our typical times are from 6:30, but Candor is starting at 7 in the morning to when the school will start, and then our after school is dismissal to 6 p.m. What we offer is we have all of our activities based on homework support, socialization, fitness, academics, and STEM activities. If you'll flip to the next page. And then for tuition and payments, tuitions are due the 15th of each month for the following month's care. And we also have a registration department that their contact is on the website. So if you want to reach out to them more individually, you'll be able to. I focus more on program management. And then we also have our registration department. So all of the contacts are right on the website. It just depends who you want to try to go to. And there's also, for tuition, we accept subsidy, and within the last year, there was a very large increase for eligible families to be able to help out with paying for childcare. And then on the next page is just more detail of our tuitions and fees. It is different per grade, especially if it's like pre-K and then a fourth grader. It depends on the age. And then a sample for our schedule. Like I said, we have the core like fitness and STEM and physical activity, but what our schedule will look like is our children's arrival, attendance is taken, restroom usage, and washing your hands for snack. And then once snack happens, we start to unwind, have a group meeting to recount how the day is gone, seeing where the kids are at, if they're happier, if they might need a little more attention. And then academic enrichment is at 3:45 to 4 o'clock. There's homework support, DEAR, which is a reading program, and then the STEM activities. And then 5:45 to 5:45, or 4:45 to 5:45 is structured physical activities like going to the gym, like kickball or line tag. It pretty much depends whatever the group of kids like specifically. And then 5:45 to 6 is dismissal. This usually fluctuates a little bit in the beginning of the year just because we're trying to figure out when kids get dropped off and picked up. Originally, if there's more of like a bulk group that leaves a little bit earlier, we might try to rearrange it, but we fit the schedule to the group of kids that we have. So that was super short, but does anybody have any questions or anything? All set?
I had a question on, for the drop-in students, is there a limitation by day based on staffing levels, or how do you guys handle that? portion of it?
So it's just based on staffing,
Okay.
pretty much. Our ratios is for school age, it's 1 to 10. So as long as it's under 10, or if we have 2 staff, 20.
Okay.
Just depends on what staffing we have. But if we see that there's more of a need and more kids are enrolling, obviously we'll staff up so that way we can make sure to meet that requirement.
So my question was similar about the drop-in, like how much advance notice do you need for that? Can you be like, oh, can we drop this afternoon? Do you need it the day before, or how does that schedule?
Usually at least 24 hours we would like, at least 24 hours we prefer. And then also if the children are de-enrolling, we ask for 2 weeks notice from the parent, usually a written email, but sometimes they call. So just notice.
Using the facility, we have rooms, you'll have rooms at the elementary school
Yes,
and use of the gym.
yes.
So there's no practices running there
So-
after school?
Yeah, so we'd have to look at practice schedules. So the use of the multipurpose room is available in the cafeteria.
Yeah, we don't want to kick anybody out.
Can you talk about quickly how many are signed up right now?
That is a
Maybe at
good
least-
question. I'm not exactly sure, but I can get back to you and let you know. I think the last I had checked, it was maybe around 5. But I can't give you a definitive what we're at right now, so my apologies.
I know I've been getting a few calls throughout the summer, so.
Great, yeah, we definitely, and I've also had a few parents calling and asking me. So there's definitely children enrolled, I'm not sure the exact number.
Thank you.
Of course.
So, looking at the worst case, the most case,
Mhm.
it's before school program is $221 a month for a full week. And then the after school program is $320 something. 29, okay. Glasses aren't working. So you total that. So if a parent has 1 kid in the morning and the afternoon, so that comes out to $540 something, $550.
Yes.
How does the state offset that cost?
So that would be a question for the billing department that I'm not 100% on. But like I said, their contact information is on the website. I just personally wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay,
So Ray, I can answer
Okay.
that coming from the YMCA where we also do before and after school care. So New York State, the families reach out directly and work with the department and they will provide a direct subsidy to offset the cost of the expenses for the family. And they're based on the total household income for the family, which does consider how many kids are in the household. So there's usually a support structure that makes sure, especially if there are multiple kids in the household, that there's usually a higher level of support available.
now, does the state deal directly with the parents or do they
So
send it to the school?
the state will work with the agency that's providing the care.
Okay. And if they've got 2 kids, is there a price break?
No, it's just per child, the flat rate
Okay,
per child.
just flat, okay.
Yeah, and that website has the income chart with, family of 4, family of 5, so you can quickly see if you are eligible for any sort of reduction.
And we also have a tuition assistance, or a person to help assist with tuition and subsidy. So if that's something that parents are usually struggling with, we have Taylor try to reach out and help kind of connect between the state and the family for extra assistance.
And a lot more people are eligible for this type of assistance than they even realize. So
Yeah.
I really hope that families will take the time to check their eligibility status and make use of this program because it really is an asset to the district to have.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of families so far and they're paying less than $10 a day per child, so they're not at the price on that paper.
And it helps that they just raised the income within the last year. So I think that really opened up possibilities for more families versus before.
I have one other just quick question. Then we talked about using like the multi-purpose room in the cafeteria. Would they be able to go outside on nice days and get like some outside time during this time period too?
Yes, so would be able to use the playground. And even with licensing, like we've gone through and cleared all the rooms and the playground is in that as well. So, yeah, great.
No, appreciate it, Mesh, and thank you coming in.
Of course.
Glad there's signups, and I see there's a lot of social media push out on the program too, and stuff, so hopefully continued support. Really appreciate you coming out.
Of course. Well, thank you everyone so much for your time. Of course. Have a good night. It was nice to meet everybody.
So Matt usually has it back in the evening. I think.
They're trying to play with that, okay. Wait, okay, Cat intentionally.
Yeah.
They were worried that the camera wasn't.
Okay,
picking up,
wasn't
but it looks
spinning
like it is.
Okay. All right, so we'll continue on. We'll review and approve the meeting minutes from last month, July 13th. Anybody find anything that needs correction or changes or alterations? If not, I'll take a motion to accept. Kate and we'll with Ray, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we'll move on to the treasurer's reports. Again, pretty straightforward for this month.
Can I get a little clarity around the TSB Super Saver account and the change in totals? No, sorry, the investment line. There seemed to be a big change in the investment line. Unless I'm reading it wrong.
Are you on the front side of the desk?
I'm on
Page
page
one.
one.
So it's the beginning, and there's the income. Added those two numbers together to get the total.
So which one, I'll say which line item?
Sorry,
Equal.
just the investment line, it looked like we had had a significant amount that went out, but then it wasn't accounted for again, but now that I'm re-looking at it, it looks not the way that I read it initially.
If you have questions as you go through, send me an email or give me a call. I'm happy to look at that.
Or mine, Kat, do I do those separately?
Yes.
The report and the transfer? All right, I'll take a motion to accept the treasurer's reports. Brent? Kate, thanks Kate. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the appropriation transfers. No questions, I'll take a motion to accept those.
So move.
All set.
So, thanks, Ray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And moving on to warrants, we'll start with the general fund. Pretty quiet summer months.
Chris, what is, the name? There's a name I'm not familiar with. Canfill USA, it's on sheet 1.
You know what, that's filters. I think it's filters.
Filters.
It's what?
I think it's filters. I could be wrong, but I think it's filters for the HVAC
Oh, okay,
system.
yeah, I
think-
just can't recall
think-
seeing that.
Yeah.
That would make sense. It's not a huge expenditure.
Yeah.
The payment to Lord's Hospital, does that have something to do with our health, safety tie-in with Lord's, or is that a contractual fee, it doesn't say anything about a contract.
Is that our
Is that our trainer?
trainer?
It might be.
Probably trainer.
But yeah, they might be, I don't know if they're paid in chunks.
I don't know off the top of my head.
So that's a monthly fee. I think we did last year, I can't remember how we did it though,
Yeah, I don't know
how we covered that.
I think they bill us incrementally, but it's not monthly.
Okay,
But we have a contract with them for a certain amount for the athletic trainer and, strength trainer.
Just in general, every time the 3+1 pops up, they're still providing a good service for you and
Yeah.
worthwhile. Okay, good.
and I assume, New Rouge Charter School is again kind of whenever they bill us for however many kids.
Right, so it depends on the number of students, and there's an amount that the state sets that they can bill us for, and then an additional amount if we have a CSD child there. Where they currently have 4 students, and they bill us 7, I think it's 7 times a year.
So it's probably the same 4 we've had there for a while.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we're gonna have to. Okay.
Because I remember we used to get billed, but it wasn't, sometimes it was bi-monthly, sometimes it
No,
was
they
quarterly or.
They have a pretty set schedule, so that we're billed 7 months in a row, based on the number of students.
Okay. I'm glad at least they've got some routine.
And they are providing information, the names of the students, and we're matching that to our list, so we're confirming that we have the right.
So you finally got them trained.
Somebody did.
We're all set. We'll move on to the federal fund. Last, the school lunch fund. Real quiet. Okay, no other questions, I'll take a motion to accept the warrants. It's Greg.
Second.
Let's hope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I was waited patiently around to recognition of visitors. So, welcome guys. Just for sitting through the business part of the meeting, but if you guys have anything you wanted to cover, bring up, introduce yourself. Jess, we've seen you plenty over the last couple of months.
So, yeah, Jessica Spasham here with the Candor CSA, just to kind of report, we kind of didn't do much during July, but we met already this month with the officers. So we do have new officers for the new school year. I'm co-president again with Amy Kelsey is also co-president. And then we've got Susan Evans is our vice president, Erin Bow is our treasurer, and Tiffany Rose is our treasurer. So those are our new officers for the year. We sent 2 of them to a summer conference in Albany with the New York State PTA, so to gain some information. We've got a few things kind of planned already. We're doing a movie night on Friday, September 1st. We'll be actually check out the movie, but it'll be for all Candor students, and that's coinciding with the supply giveaway that he organized that this typically does every year, so that'll be the same thing. Some other things that we kind of are starting to look at is like what fundraisers we'll do this fall. We also want to do, we need to talk with you guys a little bit more, but like a fun first day of school is something that some other schools have done, where we kind of like would be out there as a PTA and meeting kids. We're looking at like some bracelets for the elementary school. It's like welcome to the pack or something to go along with our new mascot, and like lollipops for the high school, just to kind of say like, welcome back kind of a thing. We're also looking at a couple of initiatives. One I'm talking about is anti-vaping. It's something that we're all really concerned about what's going on. So we've gathered some materials and posters that we said we looked up in high school, and we were looking to anti-vaping or vaping sensors, and something that school is already looking into. So we're gonna kind of be having a conversation about what we can do to support the school in this kind of initiative and just bring awareness. Also, I think teachers and parents, like as a elementary parent, I was pretty naive to have that. The situation is like, you know, not just here, but just across the country with our youth. So I think it's just something that we want to kind of see what we can do, maybe bring a speaker, but it's something we want to work on. The other thing is a mental health initiative. So we're kind of looking into like what resources are out there. The national and state PTA has a lot of stuff that they, whether it's just, you know, kind of awareness or just like phone numbers, reliable, like, you know, associations that kids can call if they're upset about something, and just kind of letting kids know what resources are out there. But those are just things we're kind of starting to look into that we want to kind of be involved, you know, on top of all the fun stuff we want to continue doing, but do some things to support our students kind of ways. And we'll be starting a membership drive soon, so we will be asking people to start to join all of our gang membership dues are paid at $5, so the same as last year. And we're looking to kind of incentivize that. I think we're gonna try to come up with like a coyote sticker and it'd be exclusive. But anyway, that's kind of some stuff we're starting to work on. It should be another great school year, but let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to come to these ones.
Thanks, Jess. Do you have anything?
No, I just came to look for your superintendent, to see if you come up with a game plan about my child being bullied.
Unfortunately, Brent's not here for this meeting, obviously, but if you have concerns that you want to bring forward to us, or whether it's in this forum or separately via email or any of our contacts, absolutely bring it forward to us. But he's obviously the right person to start with, but if you've got future concerns or further concerns from it, absolutely we'll talk to him. Okay.
After this meeting.
Yeah, whether myself, Hannah's typically president as well, but any one of us will listen in and speak with Brent and see what we can do and to address your concerns.
You're welcome to contact me, Brent's out, the rest of the, tomorrow's Friday. You're welcome to give me a call. I'll be in tomorrow.
Sure. Okay, appreciate you coming out. Okay. Greg, looks like you're on here to go through the safety plan as well.
Yep, I noticed, I grabbed the actual safety, yes, more glasses. Yeah. Okay. Now it's changed to the district, safety plan this year. Look it over. If you guys have any questions, please, feel free to stop in or, send me an email, call me, if you have any questions. As far as the high school and elementary safety plans, we are kind of focusing on reunification this year, really kind of going into that, into the state safety clinic in Albany this year. So took some stuff from that. So like I said, our big focus this year on the safety for elementary and high school is going to be reunification. So. And we upgraded, Tioga County Sheriffs now have bracelets. They have bracelets that they can get into our school. They all have their own codes, so, yeah. So Mr. Gelder helped me out with that, so they are all up to date and they all have their bracelets. And gain access to those. And I'm hoping to do that with the state police.
That's what, I was gonna ask to work with the trooper barracks right at the bus garage.
Yep, they've both been great. Tioga County and the troopers have been great. I did a lot of walkthroughs with both agencies and they've been great, so. If you guys have any questions, please, like I said, feel free to contact.
Does your committee also update the building emergency plans, or is that just passed to the principals?
No, it's building and district. There's two different, there's an elementary group, high school group, and a district.
Because that's where the real details are, the things
If there's
that we
anything new
won't.
if there's anything new that would come down, those groups would meet to kind of see how we're gonna implement that into our system.
Good. Anyone else?
Are you gonna stick around after the meeting, or are you running out?
I had to go pick up my kid, but, I can come back after that.
Well, I can talk to Kathy. I've got a question on the wording and something that's a little confusing. We don't want to mess anybody up.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it,
very
Craig.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Good for now. There'll be another chance if anything else comes up that you guys have questions on or comments or anything else at the end. So with that, move on to the consent agenda. Did get the new one today when we showed up. Is there anything in there that we need to pull out for separate consideration? Questions?
Yeah, Jonathan Wolf. How, he's retired. Did he rescind his retirement or did he just take time off?
Retired.
Pardon?
He did not retire.
He never retired.
He resigned.
You resign.
Oh, okay. He didn't resign to retire.
Correct.
Okay. Threw me a curveball.
Are there any other questions? I'll take a motion to accept all items in the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Thanks, Ray. Second. Oh, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Get this out of that one and we'll move on to the administration reports. What do we got first? Wayne?
I'd like to start off by sharing that I'm pleased we could offer a TCIS training to faculty who were interested this summer. Those of you who've been around, TCI has been a program we participated in and trained in for 15 or more years here in the district. Started off with John Wolf and I being the first trained trainers for TCI. That's therapeutic crisis intervention. And it really started in residential facilities with students, students that had very explosive, volatile types of issues and outbursts. And what TCI does is just helps, first of all, de-escalate the situation. And then after you de-escalate it, you use that crisis as an opportunity to teach them better behavior. And what they found shortly after TCI, kids there aren't just volatile kids in residential facilities, it's also in schools. So they found more and more schools are going there to get trained in TCI, so they actually branched out and have TCIS now, which is therapeutic, the therapeutic crisis intervention for schools. So we probably haven't had a training here in 5 or 6 years. A number of our trained trainers have retired or left. So the only one that was here for a while was Craig. And we sent 2 new faculty and staff members to go get trained. So they've been through the TCIS training this past winter. As luck would have it, John Wolf is back, who is our most experienced trainer we have on the staff. So we were able to provide this opportunity for our students. And we think that this is just a great training for faculty and staff on how to miss those rare situations where there's some type of explosive outburst. Just how to, number one, check your emotions, because you have to check your emotions before you deal with the child. Then de-escalate that situation. And then once that crisis is over, hopefully teach them better behavior and restore your relationship with that child. So it's a 3-day training. It's a great training. All the faculty and staff, not just this past training, but in the past have said it's very valuable. And it's something that as a district, we're going to continue to encourage more faculty and staff to be trained in, because I think at one point 10 years ago, we had most all the faculty that had been through it, but a lot of them are gone now, or a lot of them haven't been through the training in a while. So we're going to, hopefully with all the trainers we have, start offering that again. So Kind of what goes hand in hand with TCIS is restorative conferences. You'll hear a lot about restorative practices now and restorative justice, and restorative conferencing is a branch of that. We're not a restorative practice school, but the restorative conferencing is a component that we think is very valuable. And what we do with that is when we get the sense that two students, there's a little back and forth going on, usually on social media, because that's where it seems like half or 3/4 of the things we have started. We get the students in and we sit down with them and kind of have them talk about how this is impacting them and hear what the other students are saying, and then see if we come up with a resolution so it stops before it turns into something that becomes more serious and leads to maybe some consequences or some actions that they usually regret. So the elementary school and the high school, we have Pete and his administrator, I think Sarah, counselor, social worker, and Craig, and my guidance counselors and my social worker. We're all going to get together. We're the ones that are going to be doing the conferencing. This isn't anything that the teachers are going to be burdened with at this time. They will let us know if there's a conflict going on, and then we'll do the restorative conferencing. And hopefully this will just help us get out in front of some of the issues that students are having and help resolve it. Because without some intervention, usually it just keeps going and it leads into something pretty negative. So I'm excited to see if that makes a difference and anticipating it will. And lastly, with research showing us, and I think common sense says it too, kids do better in school if they have an adult in the building that they know and they trust and they can confide in. We're going to put in place an advisory period, 10 minutes, very short, every day at the end of school. We're going to have I call like an advisory coach. Brent calls an advocate. There's kind of someone there that can be there for that child. And each group only has 8 or 10 students tops in it. So we're hoping that having an opportunity for each day, students being able to go to a classroom at the end of the day, have someone ask them, how was your day? What's going on? You having any issues? If they're sensing there's an issue, having any issues, so that we can have a conversation with them. And the academic support too. Hey, I heard you have a big project. Why don't you get on that? Make sure we want you to pass. Just someone there. And we don't want them to really be a drill sergeant for the kid. We want them to be more as an advocate and a coach for the students. This is not anything new that we're coming up with. Maybe little bits and pieces of our advisory, but advisory groups are around often, and a lot of schools have them because they've been successful. So we're going to be putting in this advisory period, and I'll keep you posted on how it goes.
Is the goal to keep that same group of 8 to 10 together throughout the entire school year, assuming the dynamic works?
Good question. We're going to start with 7th and 8th grade, and then 9 through 12. And we're anticipating those students will stay with that teacher through the 4 years. Obviously, 8th graders going up will replace the seniors going out. So
right.
That's the only time they're really good switch, but we would like to keep the groups together through the 4 years.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah.
Pete ran away, so we'll skip him and jump back.
He's coming right back.
You can go ahead.
Am I going?
Kelly. Sure.
I'm going to start with transportation. So for Katie's report, summer runs are finishing up tomorrow because we still have BOCES in Campalaga ending this week. And then sports shuttles will start on Monday, Saturday actually, with football starting on Saturday. And then everybody else starts on Monday. We're still looking for drivers and aides, so we continue to put the word out there that we need people and are hoping that people will join the team. And then for athletics, I sent you the numbers last week and I've just updated it. So I'll just do the total so you have them, but varsity football is now at 31. Varsity and JV volleyball are merged, but they've got 13 for varsity and 16 for JV currently. For cross country, those are not merged as well, and we're at a total of 12 for Candor. Football, modified football, sorry, we are merged, and that's a total of 38. So we've got 15 from Candor and 23 from Spencer. For varsity and mod cheer, there were a lot more that originally signed up. Well, this has been the case for most of these, but we added the modified team because we had so many girls that had asked for it. Currently, we have 2 from Candor, one for varsity from Candor. And then for Spencer, we have 7 varsity and 3 modified. So we will be having a conversation about what that looks like. For soccer, right now for the girls, Candor side, we have 7. For Spencer, we have 2, so there's only a total of 9. Modified, there's 8 and 8 for a total of 16. That was girls. For varsity boys, we have a total of 15, 9 from Candor and 6 from Spencer. And for mod boys, we have 3 from Candor and 11 from Spencer, so a total of 14 there. So really the varsity girls are the ones that are hurting right now, and I'm hoping that we get a few more. It's common that we have signups last minute, and I mean, they've been rolling in this week, so, and also once we get the season going and they start hearing that sports have started, then they hopefully will get more, or even once school starts. But after that first week of school, I really encourage anybody, just because it's 3 weeks in at that point, so hopefully we get them before then. For field hockey, that was the other one. Candor has 2 varsity, Spencer has 12, so they have 14 for varsity. Modified field hockey has 5 for Candor, 6 for Spencer, so we're just at 11. But they are expecting more. I got from Abby today, they're expecting, I think she said 16 and 15 is what she thinks she'll have varsity and modified. The mascot. So this is, it's been a lot of fun. We have been going back and forth with this company that was gonna build our mascot. So I have for you what it will look like. And I've got a little something for you. I'll just grab it. So they did 6 different looks for us. The second one is gonna change because it's supposed to have the coyote in the C. So that will be different, like the bottom one.
This one is.
Yeah,
where?
that'll be, so this bottom one should
Is this
be
one? Okay.
here in that C. I believe, I wrote them today when I caught that and asked them if that would change, so. But these are the different ones that they sent. And then I have a keychain for each of you.
Winters like these.
This was the, it's cute, the quickest thing we could get done when we found out what it was gonna look like, so. So thank you guys for everything, for your support with this, because it's been certainly a fun endeavor, I'd say. Never a dull moment with it, but it's been fun. So the second one down, I think will have the bottom C with a coyote in it.
Did they do any fall prints?
No,
They didn't.
no,
I'm just here.
nope,
So those are final.
they are final. Yep, so actually I'm hitting send right now to the mascot committee so they get it. And I saw a couple of them today and said, yeah, we'll look out. So they now have it as well.
So Holly, will this be instituted in all of our branding across the district before school starts for this school year?
No, there's no, like, will we have this up around the school? Like, we
I
will
mean,
have it
like,
up as much.
things that we are printing.
Right now, we're using the C.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do have,
We've been
we do have a
using the C.
transitional brand that's being
Correct, we've been
used.
using the C, the black C that's on the top of the letterhead, actually, that you have in there. So we have been using that since last year. For like clothing, they said it's gonna be like 5 to 6 weeks before they get it done, so that'll be on the web page once we get it, but it's gonna take time. As far as posters and all that, we're working on all that. We've got the seats in the gym for the players that need replacing, so we've got that on order, but it's gonna take time to get stuff in, so. I think we
And the
have until
initial, I was
2025,
gonna
right?
say,
Yeah.
it's right, it didn't have to be done starting the first, we had to have the plan because there's no way we could afford, and it has to be built into the budget, like all the things that we would have to change.
And over the years, they have been pulling it out in areas, just knowing this is coming. Well, it's definitely gonna take a few years.
Posters, we've been taking down over the summer, that have things up, so we've been taking those down, but it's gonna take time to
Right.
Oh,
get back up
of
there,
course.
so.
I'm just very impressed with how quickly the district has moved through this compared to a lot of other districts. So you should all be commended in the effort that you put forth on this.
And was this,
I can show, sorry, you guys. It's not a secret.
was this mascot done by somebody local too? I know we had
So
a,
we had 4 finalists.
Okay.
So, I don't remember how many submissions we had, 21
I
submissions?
feel like it was
something like that?
21 the night you were trying to put them on the slideshow.
Yeah, I think it was 21. So I think it was 21 submissions. We put it out to vote for the kids to vote on. The kids, it came out to 4 that were really close top picks. So we took those 4 with all the descriptions that people in the committee had come up with. This is what we want the mascot to be. Took those 4 and said, can you please take these 4, kind of meld them together, and then make sure that it incorporates these, what do you call them? Yeah, attributes. I think they did a great job. I like it. We went back all summer. We've been going back and forth, looking at it, and we'll send something and we'll be, try this. And then they try something else and we'd send it and we'd say, try this. It was fun, actually. But there it is.
Very
Good job.
intent looking. I
Yeah.
mean, he's focused.
Can the PTA get like high res files of this, so?
I can now send them out.
And then it's okay.
So they're
for
gonna
you-
send me, I have some that are, high resolution, I guess. Of the 2 bottom ones I have high resolution that I can send to you.
Okay.
They're still working through it, because it was, sometime this week,
Yeah.
that she was finalizing stuff. So
Okay.
once I have everything, then yes, I can certainly share that.
Okay. Yeah.
And we own
On
it.
the bottom too, because like we want to like do like the stickers. Since you have this now, we could actually use this. We were gonna do something like generic, so we know how long it's been, but yeah, we can use.
Yeah, we'd like people to be using this. So. We honestly, that's why we did it the way we did it, because we don't want multiple versions out there. We wanted to try and keep it as consistent as we could, so I'm happy to share.
thank you, Hallie.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll jump back to Pete. Mr. Ahart.
Me? All right. The first piece there, I wanted to show you some hiring and personnel information there. At this time, general ed teachers are all hired, and I talked a little bit about how many total applicants we have, which was nice to see, because I remember in the last couple of years, we didn't have that many. And I think that was for 3 total open positions from mid-January to right now. So 42 total applicants is nice to see that we're getting interest. Because in my recent memory, we haven't had that many, so it's nice. I also talked a little bit about what the committee talks about, and when we get teachers in here, we get candidates in here to talk and interview. It's not just your normal couple of questions. I mean, we do ask those questions, but then after the candidate leaves is when the actual work happens, the conversations happen. All those conversations are student-centered. And a lot of times we get in some very good discussions about the qualities of each candidate. So to say that each candidate isn't, I'll just say each candidate is talked about and considered very deeply is true. Every committee member puts a lot of time in there and a lot of passion too. So typically I have our social worker in on the committee. I have at least 1 or 2 grade level that we are hiring for. One of those teachers, myself, sometimes Jackie Winnick, Sarah Loomis, and Wendy Meso. I talked a little bit about here for our mentor program. So she's part of the mentor piece, which I think I'm gonna go into more next month because our mentor program is gonna put on something for our new employees here this summer, and I'll report on that next month. But yeah, it's a little bit about our hiring of our new personnel this year, and I'm excited for them to get started. They've all been in for PD this summer, so in getting their classroom ready, so they've been here getting their feet wet. I included some behavior data from the last 2 years, just for your reference, so you can see what that looks like, and how some of the decisions are made, and who's responsible for making those. Ultimately, I'm responsible for the behavior support in the building, but I do have so many people that help me out on a day-to-day basis to make it manageable, and we're all on the same page. And I put some of the programs that are a priority for us. Second step and responsive classroom are two big ones that we talk about on a daily basis: the mental health curriculum and a welcoming environment philosophy. So I talked a little bit about the individuals who are involved and what their roles are, and really how much of a shared responsibility it is in the building. And I hope you see by that data that we did show a lot of growth this year. And it's pretty typical every year where we see that late winter, early spring, where the behaviors start to bound up a little bit. That's pretty common throughout other districts as well. And I just put in for your reference a similar district, a neighboring district of ours, had 100 total referrals this year. So you can compare our numbers to them. The lab room that I reported on. So this is pretty exciting. I want to thank Chris for working with me on the purchasing of all of the lab materials, the chairs, the tables, just everything we need to set up a good lab room for our 3 through 6 teachers. The teachers had a hand in planning this room as well, but we really needed a space for these lab investigations that I reported on to take place. They couldn't take place in the classroom because there just wasn't enough room. Teachers had to leave the labs set up for sections of kids to come through and rotate through. So we really had to find a space. And that's what that lab room is. My last sentence there is it really does, the intent of that lab room is to better prepare the students for the 5 and 8 science test. So there's a lot of hands-on activities that the kids have to do this year that have come down from the state, a lot of lab investigations. So they'll be taking place in that lab room. It's just a good space. And again, I want to thank Chris for that support as well. I put in there a little bit about our student enrollment compared to last year. We are up in our student enrollment, and these are pretty consistent from when I wrote the report. I haven't gotten any new students. I've heard of a couple that are interested in coming to Candor, but as of right now, these are our numbers and where we stand. And again, I need to commend Jackie. Every summer, it's just a lot of paperwork and a lot of sending faxes and a lot of records requests that are sent out. So I need to thank her. She works tirelessly to get that done and done in a good amount of time. She's on vacation this week, so I'm trying to do all that stuff, but it's hard to do and to keep up with. So I really commend her for doing what she does on a daily basis for our families. And then Madison was here to speak about the before school and after school care. So if you have any questions, I can answer about that as well. So that's all I got for you.
You're doing a lot of good things with the new teachers. Do you have a lot of new aides and others coming in the building that, I know in years past, we've done kind of like a day on site or something for them ahead of time to get them comfortable with the classroom?
I say we have a handful of aides,
Okay.
and we do have the superintendent's conference day, which they attend with all the trainings. But Sarah Loomis and Merrick Wolfe have done a great job this year in holding monthly aide meetings for trainings for our aides. So every aide in our building goes through training, whether it's behavior training, whatever the topic that the aides actually need for that month. Merrick and Eva and Sarah all do a training for them once a month. But yeah, we have a handful of aides, and then we have a lot of movement for the aides, and that's pretty typical on a year-to-year basis.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Pete. Yeah. We have Mr. Gelder's report. So we'll move on to Ms. Nichols.
I listed 3 items for my report. The first one just gives an overview of the topics that we've covered this summer for professional development for the teachers. Not all done on the same day. Let's see, Pete has organized the Super Kids reading and the Eureka Squared math curriculum training. Responsive classroom alignment was actually, we postponed that one because we wanted, I know Pete needs to have the conversation with the elementary teachers, but then we were hoping to bring in our junior high teachers to do an alignment conversation. We're gonna hold off until after the start of the year. Wayne already talked about the TCIS, and I just listed off, it seems like it was a year ago, but it was just June, I think, we did the district PD, and the topics are listed there. And this year was a little different. In past years, Matt and I and the principals would present the professional development. This year, we did have a rep from the Mid-State Regional, Regional Partnership Center out of Syracuse. They presented on explicit vocabulary instruction, and then our DEI coordinator through TST BOCES came in and presented on the inclusive practices. And then the trauma-informed practices was offered by our 2 social workers. And then the other item I listed under that was that we had, and actually the number's higher, I think we've had 45 teachers completing independent curriculum work. And they had to put a proposal in each building. Pete, Wayne, and I reviewed them, then let them know that they were approved. They have to submit a summary of the work that they did once it's done. The second item, I gave a really short overview on our partnership with the Reading League. So it's official. We are partnering with them. We're going to be using some of our Title 1A funds for this upcoming school year. And the topics that they'll address throughout the school year are listed under the bullets. And our goal, most schools, it's teachers in grades K to 6 or K5, pre-K 5, special education and reading teachers. We had I'm not gonna say a lengthy conversation, but I'd say a pretty in-depth conversation, and we've decided we want to include all of our teachers up through 12th grade. We'll have to give a little bit of a disclaimer as to why, but if we're starting at the elementary grades, and it's important for all of us to know, what are those solid, science-backed practices that doesn't matter which grade level, which content area you teach, you can support. So that's the Reading League, and that'll be year-long. We were pretty ambitious with the calendar, and I think the Reading League was even impressed that we were able to commit as much time as we could with our conference days to get through the entire series by the end of one school year. So we'll report out monthly as we go through that. And then my last item is just focused on the special education department. And early in July, I call it a work team, not the entire department could be here, but we looked at our prioritized curriculum for ELA and math in the district. So the work that's been going on the last 4 years. The special ed department work team took the prioritized curriculum, and we were able to write standards-based statements that we can use, the teachers can use as they write the IEPs. One of the goals for New York State, it's been this way since Holly was director, that the IEPs do address what is that general ed core curriculum that every child at that particular grade should be working at, and then how does this student, how are they able to access those standards? What are the supports? What are the modifications? What do we do? How do we do it to make sure that they're getting, it may not look exactly the same, but what are those skills that are needed? And so that work, it was nice to see the work that was done by the entire district to prioritize standards. We're using it in another layer, in another way. We went to CPSE and CSE chairpersons training. It was a 4-day training that they put into 3 days, jam-packed it. It was fabulous, but it was very good. And we'll be turnkeying that with the 2 school psychologists on Monday, and then on the 25th and the 28th with the special ed department. And staffing updates. We continue to have the 2 unfilled special ed positions, but we're working on it.
Thank you, Kim. Chris?
So we're just finishing up our annual audit. Should have that wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. We're waiting for some reports from the retirement systems to have some final entries, and our books will be closed for 22-23. Corinne Kellogg, our purchasing clerk, accounts payable clerk, has done a phenomenal job of getting everything ordered this summer, and she's working through some of those final details. We've held off because we've had some transitions in staffing. We'll be, held off on ordering for some of those classrooms. So we're getting around to all those as we get everybody on board, and hopefully have most everything in by the start of the school year. We continue to have some training. Stacy from Cinerec came down and went through some of our financial software application modules with us and helped us make sure we had access to all of the reports and different things that have come in the new releases over the last year or so, and just kind of went through some of the features with us, and we just continue to utilize that software as best we can to give us good information. And of course, tax collections, we've been working on we approved the warrant, and we've been working on getting all of that information up to BOCES. Tax bills will be out by September 1st. Another big piece of work right now is getting our federal grants written for 23-24. So we've got our special ed grants and our title grants specifically. We still are working through some of those ARP ESSER. We have the one Carissa grant that ends the end of September, so that has to be extended by September 30th. And then we still have the summer school, the after school, and 2 of the other ARP grants that are continuing into the next year. For the title grants, we have a collaboration piece. So we put together some documentation to send out that describes each one of the grants and talks about where we plan to spend. Kim talked about the Reading League partnership that'll be funded through part of that Title I grant. We have a school-wide program. We focus our Title I funds in the elementary school. So the Title I does fund 2 salaries for reading teachers and as much of the benefits as we can fit into that allocation. We also have some required components there. We have to set aside some funds for our McKinney-Vento homeless students. This year we had a high number of students with a high need. So we were able to provide some sneakers, school supplies, clothing, with that allocation. It's small, but it's something that helps some of those families in their, immediate need. We also have to set aside for any of our eligible students that attend participating non-public schools. We typically have a couple of students at the Ross Corners Christian Academy. It's again a per child, smaller allocation, but Candor resident students that receive that. And our Title I funding, remember, is driven mostly by our poverty level, which is determined by our free and reduced lunch applications or our eligibility there. For the Title II allocation, most of that is our mentoring program. Mrs. Brunesso and Mrs. Snell run that program, and they do things throughout the year with teachers. We also fund some professional development, and this last year, and we'll continue into this year, those curriculum councils, working with curriculum and data. Our Title IV allocation, we plan to continue supporting more training in the TCIS, the Therapeutic Crisis Intervention. and continuing to support those science, requirements as they come forward. That's how we were able to support some of those investigations and the lab, materials, the lab equipment, tables, we took from one of those ARPANET grants. So, if you have questions about how we plan, any of the plans for that or suggestions, I'm happy to include those as we go forward.
Did you notice a drastic shift one way or another in the funding this year versus last year's?
So our title allocations are higher this year, but I'm hearing that that's typical, that they were increased, but our Title I allocation is about $40,000 higher this year than it was last year. So that kind of gave us that opportunity to include that partnership with the Reading League, that might have been a challenge to take from general fund. Yeah.
Chris? That report. Brent's report. That would happen. You guys had any comments on the administrative retreat or anything like that? You certainly don't have to.
The only thing, I made a note earlier, when Craig was presenting the district-wide safety plan. One of the tasks that we accomplished was setting up the topics for our monthly admin meetings. Those work sessions for us that's focused, and we already know. So going into it, September, maybe it's October, we're starting with, is the emergency response planning, to have that bigger conversation. And Craig mentioned reunification, and Holly has brought up, especially after school hours, what does that look like? So I just thought that was an interesting connection. I didn't realize Craig was presenting district-wide safety plans, like got the reports. I don't know, does anybody else want to comment on the retreat? We got a lot done. Good conversations.
Good to hear. All right, so we'll open it up for board comments.
I want to thank Kathy for having taken care of the business with Dollar General and applying for receiving those.
It was a battle.
So anyway, so now if you're shopping there and they want you to round up, you'll know that the funds will be coming to Candor. So thank you, Kathy.
And now we have your follow-up task, which is to get the one in Candor.
Oh, by the way.
No, I see Brent had a comment in here thanking Sarah Loomis for her effort through summer school, which that's
yes.
great. Glad you guys had a great program this summer, and hopefully it helped a lot of students heading into next year again as well. But glad to see that all went well, and hopefully you guys got to, and I know the summer's not quiet for you, you still got a lot going on, but next time you'll be in full session next time we see you, so good luck starting school.
Good luck.
Yeah.
On opening day, if all goes well.
The added, Sarah, we had a plan in place to do some data collection this year. So what did we learn from last year? What could we do? So they did do some reading probes, just I think with everybody. I don't know, I don't have all the details, but I think she's gonna pull that together maybe for September's board meeting.
Okay.
And then day 2 of faculty and staff professional development is still the plan for the board to join you for lunch on day 2.
I think so. Yes, we actually, that was another task that we were given for the admin retreat by somebody. Make sure we get the agendas done.
Yes.
So we know what time, I think we already have the time set for lunch.
I haven't
Okay.
seen any answers, so.
I will make sure to add that to my list so that we can
Right,
send an
yeah,
invite to you guys so you know what time to show up.
Yeah.
All right, but yes, it would be the second day, the 6th.
Okay. Come back to the visitors. Anything else you guys want to add? Have questions on?
I've got one more quick question. With the transportation and the hiring of the bus drivers and the aides, is the goal to have like one aide per bus Or do we already have that, or is that?
We don't have that. Our goal is to be able to have, we have to fulfill the special education needs, right? So they have it on their IEP. We would love to have an 8 on every bus. We're lucky to get 8s to fill fully.
Okay,
So,
I was just curious, because
We would love
Okay.
And then in the past, we actually had somebody that, since we couldn't have somebody on every bus, at least we had someone that could go if there was a need, or even float through.
Okay. We're all set then? We're all set? We're out of session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
She needs all to sign the text.
So I gotta take a motion for that?
No,
I didn't-
once you're out of business, they can-
Aren't you so glad you took this one?
Yeah. Threw it out of me. Can of leaves right away.
I know, what time?
I can give it to you.